Gogo. I'm a managing partner for AGL Cyber Solutions. Basically, we're based here in Malawi, Blantyre. I'm gonna take you through privacy and security, which is a cybersecurity dilemma. Okay. Basically, when we talk of privacy and security, this is like an egg and a shell. You cannot differentiate the two. They work hand in hand. So privacy and security are related, and privacy relates to any light. You have to control your personal information and how it's used. When it comes to online, you are responsible to what you're sharing and what you're giving out, okay? In Malawi, right, privacy and social legitimacy in Malawi. In Malawi, the legitimacy for the existence and the mandate to respect privacy is primarily founded in the Constitution of the Republic. Section 21 of the Constitution of Malawi provides for the right to privacy in the following wording. Every person shall have the right to personal privacy, which shall include the right not to be subject to searches of his or her personal home or property, seizure of private or personal, right? Then we are more interested on C, interference with privacy communication, including mail and all forms of telecommunication. However, much as this section is enshrined in the law, it also has got its own limitations. The limitations comes in where there is where there's an instance of a criminal offense being committed. Interference with privacy will come in. Okay. Then in this presentation, we're looking at privacy, cybersecurity interest, privacy and law. We've come from somewhere, and where are we now? Privacy and human rights, threats to privacy on social media, and what is changing. Privacy and security. Your privacy and security are maintained only when you are in possession or you are responsible for your privacy and the other side is responsible for your security. For example, the bank uses your information to open your account and provide you with products and services. And the bank will make sure that they go on to protect that information you've given them. And at the same time, they are protecting what they have given you as their infrastructure. Your privacy is compromised and your security is maintained. At what stage does this happen? The bank sells some of your information to a marketer. Not. You may have agreed to this in the bank's privacy disclosure, because these disclosures that we sign, there's a lot of wording, and most of us, we don't take time to read the disclosures. We just accept. The results, your personal information is in more hands than you may have wanted. Both your privacy and security are compromised. The bank gets hit by a data breach. Cyber criminals penetrate a bank database, a security breach. Your information is exposed and could be sold to the dark web. Your privacy is gone. You could become the victim of a cyber fraud and identity theft. Privacy and security. I've talked about the relationship of a yolk and an egg. Then we've got the egg white, the shell. These three, you cannot separate them. For a yolk to exist, they need to have to be covered with an egg white. For the egg white not to dry up, they need to be covered with a shell, right? So we're talking of protection of personal information, protection of company information, protection of country information. So we look at privacy using and disclosing personal information in an authorized manner, data quality, access to personal information. Then we're looking at security on the other hand, whereby we're looking at confidentiality, data being stored and safe from unauthorized access and use. Integrity, data is reliable and accurate. Availability, data is available for use and when it is needed. This takes us to the case of 2013, if we are to understand where we're coming from on issues to do with privacy. In 2019, Edward Snowden, he blew his trumpet louder. That opened a can of privacy issues. And if you've read more about Edward Snowden, you will see that the American government was on a case of betrayal, etc., putting security risks of other things, of people, the government at risk. But then other people saying, human rights, these things, privacy, America was interfering with the privacy of the people, privacy, all these things. But my take on the case of Edward Snowden is he betrayed the trust. One can argue to say, no, but there were these things, whereby there was data mining, etc., etc. But the trust that was given to him as a consultant, he betrayed it, right? So now we're looking at the cybersecurity interests. What interests are there, right? They are consumer cybersecurity interests, whereby as consumers want our interest to be secured. For example, if we open the bank account, we don't want our information to go to third parties. We want our interest to be secured. There's political and academic cyber interest, and there's business cybersecurity interest, and national security cybersecurity interest. On business cybersecurity interest, I'll take you to the case of FBI versus Apple, right? Where FBI were requesting Apple for a barcode for the Apple phone so that they can access the data. But then Apple looked at the business interest of it. They said, okay, fine. People are able to buy our phones because of the security aspect of it. Because the government cannot do this thing. That's how our commodity is much sought after. That was the business interest. But then there was a national interest whereby the security comes in. The government is looking at the security of the people, right? Much as this is a right for somebody to have privacy, but where your privacy is infringing on the rights of the many, it becomes a problem and it becomes a security risk. Privacy and law. In my research and my understanding of the work in cybersecurity, there is no constitutional right to privacy in most of the countries, more especially here in Africa. Why am I saying this? Africa is a third world country. We are technologically, we're not that advanced as compared to the East and the European countries. You will find that the usage of internet in Africa should be around 65 or 70%, right? And that usage is also limited to a certain area, right, and certain times, right? It's not widely covered, right? If you go in rural areas, you will not find usage of the internet at all. This is a problem, okay? And privacy is a function of culture. Why are we taking this into the law? Why privacy is a function of culture? Culture plays a role when framing our laws for the country. In Kenya, maybe I'll say, just for example, the dominant tribe can be the Kikuyus. If the framers of the law are the Kikuyus, they'll be more aligned to their culture of the Kikuyu. So much so that the law that will be framed will favor the Kikuyus. If the country is majority Muslims, the law that will be framed will be much aligned to the Islamic. And this religion and the culture plays a role when framing the laws of the country. And these laws of the country, they govern what we see on the internet. Unfortunate part is each and every country is framing a law which is not talking to each other when it comes to cybersecurity. You will find out that the law in Kenya and the law in Malawi, when it comes to digital, it might be similar, but there's a wider difference on the application. Why is that so? It's because of the culture. So privacy is a function of the culture. What our culture says, that's what we do. And privacy means different things in different countries and regions. This is where we're looking at the religion, etc., etc. Countries have passed numerous laws, and most of the privacy laws are not effective. And in most of African countries, there's slow progress in implementing cyber laws because we haven't invested much in the infrastructure, right? And to be where we can say we are visible. Our visibility is limited to the outside world. So there is a slow progress in implementation of the cyber laws in Africa. Now we look at government and privacy and security. Who is policing who? We've got the framers of the law, and we've got the ICT sector, and we've got the consumers. The consumers, they are the ones that spend most of their times online. The ICT sector is bringing up the policies. The government is saying, look here, this, no, but this is how it should be. You will find that the government side will give you things that when you look at it technically, they don't make sense when it comes to cybersecurity. When you try to explain to them, they'll say, okay, fine, we're looking at this in terms of national security. But then we're looking at this in terms of the light. I've got the light to privacy. Right? Then they say, okay, fine, bring the disclaimers. So that you should accept when you're getting on the internet to say, oh, fine, whatever, I'm doing this, I've given a consent. But the government policies, right, and looks on us, but who is looking after the government and what they are doing? There is nobody. How much power should the government have when it comes to policing us on the internet? That's another question that is there. And in most of the African countries, political influence comes into being. If you're in opposition, then you happen to be, famous online and etc., etc. The government can hit you with treason based on baseless accusation, based on what you posted online or what you've been doing. They can snoop your emails, etc., etc. But does that warrant them to have that much power to look into our affairs where there's no criminal intent? I don't think so. Our government actions, justified when it comes to monitoring the internet activities. As a cybersecurity person, I don't think so. And the question can come to is, have we done enough to safeguard privacy in Africa? We haven't started. That's my take. We haven't started, we're still in an infancy stage. And there's a lot of things to be done. Whose interests are we saving when it comes to privacy? It's our own interest. Privacy is us, and it's security. These two, privacy and security, they go hand in hand. Because the security will secure your privacy. So it has to be entwined, hand in hand. The Apple and FBI case, I've already explained that. Is privacy and security a human rights issue? There is yes, in a bigger way. But when it comes to national security, there's gives and takes. Where there's a criminal intent in your privacy, then the human rights doesn't count. It will come with a limitation. So it can be a human rights issue, yes, of course. But now the law gives limitation to how far you can have that right. Privacy and human rights. Certain degrees of monitoring, logging, data mining, or surveillance will create tension or conflicting requirements between privacy and cybersecurity efforts. As Canada's Interim Privacy Commission stated in 2011, violating people's privacy in the interest of ensuring cybersecurity would defeat the very purpose of cybersecurity. While cybersecurity activities may require some degree of monitoring in order to be able to detect anomalies and protect cyber infrastructure and information, cybersecurity strategies and activities should not be an excuse for building massive surveillance regimes for unfettered monitoring and analysis of the personal information of individuals. What are the threats to privacy on social media? Data mining, phishing attempts, malware sharing, and botnets. One can argue that these things are done by hackers, but hackers to me are in 3 folds or 4 folds. There are those that are state actors because government is also into this. They are data mining, they're phishing attempts, they're doing all these things, the government agents, because they need our data. They need our information for them in order to protect us. So is the government doing hacking? I would say yes. Each and every government participates in hacking. What is the problem that we have here? We live and share a huge amount of our lives online, depending on our devices and vast global networks to keep us connected. This dependency means there's much at stake and much to protect and secure. Vulnerable or insecure systems can lead to hacks and data breaches that leave people vulnerable and catastrophic for privacy. When government argues for security, they often focus on criminalizing and monitoring online behavior through repressive cybercriminal laws and increasing state surveillance powers rather than addressing the root problem of insecure systems. Okay. So if we are to win this war, we have to address the problem. What is the root cause of the problem? We are talking of insecure systems. If we address that, all these criminality, monitoring, etc., will not happen because we have addressed the root cause. What is changing? We have started some baby steps. Where are we now? We have started some baby steps, but the journey is too long for us to take baby steps. We need to keep moving. We need to move at a pace whereby things can change when it comes to cybersecurity and privacy. We need to see the government not monitoring our behavior when there is no criminal intent. Where do we go from here? First, we need to address the root cause of the problem. What are the root cause of the problem? These are the unsecured systems. Cyber experts need to work hand in hand with the government. If the government is advised properly, all these things will be issues of the past. Because as experts who work with the government sectors, where issues of privacy will be addressed properly. You cannot talk of security without privacy. These two works hand in hand. Each and every government, wherever you are, will promise you of security. But privacy, I doubt it. Because this issue is something that the government works on. I thank you for listening.